Welcome back to another tutorial, and this time we are making something delicious. So you're going to want to grab your kitchen supplies. Okay, I know, it's not for cooking. You're going to want to use these to make your armature. So grab some aluminum foil and scrunch it into the shape of the dinosaur that you desire. In this case, we're making a ApaTACOsaurus. So I've got my body here and I'm just gently stabbing it with my needle tool. You'll want to do that so you can get this wire through to make the legs. I'm just going to avoid using tools here because my fingers are magic. And once you're done with that, just throw it up to the side and slap your legs in there. Once you're happy with the general positioning of your new legs, grab a lighter, thinner wire and wrap it around. This will give the clay an additional surface to stick to. Snippy, snippy! What do you guys think of the gold wire? Maybe next time I might do a rainbow colour for each leg. After that's all done and you're happy with how he's sitting, you can grab your aluminum foil tape. Now what this will do will hold the foil together nice and tight and will reduce the chance of you getting bubbles in the oven when you put your clay on top. The next step is some Sculpey Ultra Light. I'm using this clay to bulk out the rest of the armature so that I don't have to waste my Primer. Whack that into the oven for a good 20-30 minutes, and when he's done, we can move on to the next step. So I'm just using a mix of Primo Ecru here with some beige coloured Sculpey. I go for this kind of colour because it looks really nice as the end result. It's sort of semi-translucent and gives a little bit of a realistic effect with your food types of polymer clay creations. Once you've covered the entire body, get your trusty finger out and give it a good wipe down, and that'll just help smooth it out so that later we can come back and mess it all up again. I'm also using a little bit of extra aluminum foil here for the head because I didn't quite mix up enough of this clay, so voila, does the job anyway. Now, I fought for a good hour or two with this head design, so apologies for not including much of the footage. My partner just did not want to edit it. So here we are, this is the head. Now if you're doing a different dinosaur, obviously the head will be different, but I was quite happy with this one. Reminds me of a sort of derpy looking Littlefoot. And once all that's attached, this is the fun part. We can go in with our tools, fingers, or whatever you want to use and give it some details. Make it look a little bit lifelike. Ta-da! I'm pretty happy with how that's turned out. And now we're going to stab it with this little tool here. Now I've made this tool in a previous video, which I'll link up the top right for you. And this is perfect for going over the body and giving it a scaly look with absolutely minimal effort. Now for the taco part. This was a bit of an experiment, to be honest. So I've grabbed some of the aluminum foil tape, stuck it to itself, and created these plates so that when I put the taco on the dinosaur, it's got a bit of support within it. And the wire is there so that we can stab it into his sides too. You'll want to cover it in a clay before you apply it to your dinosaur. And I'm using a similar mix as to what I had before, but with a little bit more of a mustard yellow mixed in. A bit more of a taco colour. Once you're happy with the general shape of your taco and you've included a little area for the legs to poke through, you can start attaching it to the body of the dinosaur. Of course you want to go underneath his belly as well, so it looks like he's being completely hugged by a delicious taco. So I've just added some extra clay underneath. and some wrinkly bits around the tops of his legs so it looks like he's part of his body. And once again, back with that scaling tool, but this time it's a taco tool. It's going to give you that delicious taco fresh effect. Now, none of my dinosaurs are really dinosaurs unless I use pen pastels on them. So that's what these lovely little powders are here. They're just pigment powders and they're perfect for colouring unbaked clay. And when you've got the colours you're happy with, whack him back in the oven to set it all in place. Now for the fun part, guys, we get to do the toppings. I'm starting with a lettuce because I want that to be at the base of the taco. And I've just got a simple leaf cutter here. And a leaf push mold. I'm just going to stick that in there, push it down, and then I'll just come through later with a piece of foil and rough it up a little bit so it looks a little bit more like lettuce and a little less like a leaf. You're going to want to do that a few times. It's a pretty big taco to fill up. And when you're happy with your lettuce, you can come in with those good old pen pastels again and adjust them up so they're looking a little bit more realistic. Now we're going to make the mince. So what you want to do is grab a little bowl and some cork or something lumpy that you might have laying around the house, and just shred it to pieces and put it inside of your little bowl. Next, I add in a little bit of this stuff. It's from a hobby model shop that they use on railway train sets, but you could use sand, it would work just as well. And here I am adding in some liquid Sculpey and some clay. This is going to give me a coloured goop that I can add into that mincemeat mixture. You're going to need a fair bit of it as the cork and that is quite dry. But once you're happy with the consistency, you can pop it to the side and we'll start on the tomato. This is pretty fun. It's just a bunch of dits and dots and bits and bops. And then I dust it once again with my beloved pen pastels, a little bit of white in the center and a darker red in the middles as well. I've got a little bit of amber translucent clay here that I'm going to use to make the tomato seeds. You probably don't need to do this step as you can't really see it once you put it into the taco, but I couldn't help myself, I just had to add them. Once that's all done, cut it in half because you're not going to fit the whole one inside of there, and you can just pop them to the side. I decided to add an onion or two in here, so I've just got an assortment of rings that are sized from large to small and they all fit within each other. And I'm just cutting out a bunch of rings from the clay and then sticking them inside. So this is all translucent clay mixed with like a pinky magenta. So when it bakes, it will look a lot different to what it looks like right now. And we cannot forget the cheese. I've just grabbed some of the Sculpey yellow and I'm just slicing it up. Once I'm done with that, I give it a little bit of a roll on the mat too, just to get rid of those sharp edges. And now we can start assembling. So grab your mincemeat and pop that in there first. If you need to fill it up with a little bit more extra space so your toppings reach the top, I just used a bit of scrap clay in the bottom. Pop in your larger pieces like your tomato and your onion first. Fill it up with a little bit more minced meat so it looks nice and chunky, and then you can start sprinkling that cheese on top. Just make sure you push it in firmly so it doesn't fall apart after you bake it. Now it's ready for its final bake in the oven. Okay, now for the lucky last touches. Of course, you're going to want to make this look nice and juicy, so I'm using some Pearl X varnish here. This is a super glossy one and I find it works brilliantly on polymer clay. I basically cover the entire taco with that, and then I'm just coming in with a deco sauce. I'll pop a link to how to get these down below in the description. But this is just a white sauce that will dry on its own, and I just pop it everywhere that I think you would with some sour cream. Okay, on to the glam shots, folks.